Hey everyone, it's Alice, and this is the patch 13.7 notes rundown, and yes, this is here on the FlyQuest LoL YouTube channel. For people wondering, all the patch rundowns will continue to be on this channel. If you want to see the patch previews and whatnot, and how I think about those will go up on my YouTube channel. And so let's just get right into it and see what ended up actually making it through. This is really sad because patch 13.8, I believe, is the MSI patch. So let's see what actually ended up happening. So Alistar, base armor and health is increased. So the base armor up by 3 and base health increased by 15. Really, it's bigger for top lane Alistar than anything, and I know that top lane Alistar is not really doing too well. For support lane Alistar, yeah, sure, he probably gets an auto attack or 2 worth of HP down in bot lane, which is not what's gating him from being picked, so it doesn't matter. It's just another placebo buff. Now, yes, if he gets 30 buffs in a row, it will all come together and help him for sure, but that doesn't matter. Right, just go harder with the buffs and he'll appear again. I don't understand. Annie, E cooldown increased, shield value decreased, E molten shield. Cooldown 12 to 8 seconds to 12 to 10 seconds. Shield amount 60 to 220 plus 40% AP to 60 to 200 plus 40% AP. So this does not impact mid or top lane or AD carry Annie that ends up maxing E last because you have pretty much all the same values. What this does end up impacting is support Annie that maxes E first and uses it as the pure reflect. It also hurts the mid lane Annies that do the Emax second over putting points into W second, and that's where it's supposed to hurt. If you're playing Annie and you're having success with Annie, this will do literally nothing to impact you. It will hurt support Annie ever so slightly. It's going to be very negligible because you're not casting Molten Shield immediately off cooldown every single time. Now, in team fights for support Annie, it will hurt a little bit, but still not going to be the end of the world. Azir, base armor increased, attack speed growth increased, passive duration and cast range increased, Q mana cost increased, stab range decreased, W damage increased, mana cost now decreased with rank, new recommended skill order. Okay, base stats. Armor up by 3, attack speed growth 5% to 6%, passive Shreemer's Legacy, duration 30 to 45 seconds, cast range 500 to 700, and now Q Conquering Sands, mana cost 65 to 85 scaling to 70 to 110 scaling. So they're making it very painful to cast Q in terms of mana, and the stab range is also going down. W Arise, magic damage 0 to 110 based on level, plus 50 to 90 plus 55% AP to 0 to 92 based on level, plus 50 to 118. Okay, so they've shifted it. Plus 55% AP. No, assuming W max, this is a damage per hit buff that scales from 0 to 10 by level 11 and then stays there. Okay. Mana cost 48 all ranks to 40 to 20. So it's making it a much more spammable thing, and it's making it so that his W is his main ability inside of the laning phase. Okay. So what this ends up doing is it means that it becomes easier to trade against Azir. And it will make it so that if he's actually hitting you, if you're a melee or something, then his W is going to have a lot more value. What it does also mean is that his Q poke and everything like that becomes significantly weaker. And so for the champions that actually theme counter him, such as like Corki or something, they get a lot better against him. Any of the longer range champions become increasingly better against him because he can't use the Q as often. Okay, Graves. Passive critical strike rank bonus increased, R cooldown decreased early. Passive, New Destiny, 20% to 30% R collateral damage, 120 to 100 now at rank 1. This matters really more so for, I think, jungle Graves on getting the ganks off than it does for, like, top lane Graves. The version of Graves that goes, like, Shield Bow, Overheal, Bloodthirster, etc., and does all of that cool thing that a lot of marksmen are doing, it's a buff to that just because of the critical strike bonus, because you do end up having Shield Bow, and then you have Bloodthirster, etc., but outside of that, it's sort of whatever. This is not going to make Graves get... This should not make Graves get picked. And if Graves does get picked as a byproduct of this, it is not what made him successful or viable. It's a complete placebo. I mean, so far we're several into this, and we've had a couple of placebos already at this point. Kalista, attack damage growth increased, passive ceremony duration decreased. Kalista now forced to channel. Attack damage growth 3.5 to 3.75, passive Oathsworn Bond. Oathsworn ceremony duration 12 seconds to 8 seconds. Until this begins with Kalista activates her Black Spear. Ride together, channel together. Kalista is now forced to channel on the Black Spear while her Oathsworn is reviving. Okay. All right, so whatever. Katarina, passive AP ratio increased, R-based AD ratio decreased, attack speed scaling increased. Okay. Passive, Veracity. Sinister Steel Dagger, magic damage, 68 to 240 based on level, plus 60% bonus AD, 65 to 95%, okay, 68 to 240, plus 60% bonus AD, 70 to 100% levels 1 to 16 AP, okay. So this is good for Katarina. I am going to say both of these changes, Katarina is a complete mess, apparently, because of just the entire identity that she has going on with her, and that she is really designed around solo queue, and thus that hurts her for competitive. However, there is a skill ceiling to Katarina that most, and when I say most, I mean pretty much all, Katarina players can't actually hit, except for a very select few. For all thoughts and things on the Katarina changes, I would personally recommend just going over to the Twitter or the YouTube of Cat Evolved and seeing what he's actually going to say about Katarina, because to my knowledge, he's one of the only Katarina players that has actually played Katarina on several different servers and, you know, eclipsed very high MMR on literally all of them, and has also played every different type of Katarina build. And so I think that he would probably have the most input, much more so than me, especially because my main focus is like super high MMR and competitive in most cases, and Katarina is such a hyper unique champion that I don't feel super comfortable other than just giving you guys baseline thoughts. She's so unique that I don't even feel super good about doing that. Kha'Zix, Q isolation range requirement decreased, W slow decreased, slow versus isolated targets decreased, R buff duration increased. So, Taste Their Fear is down by 50 range, W void spike, evolve slow 60 to 40%, evolve slow against isolated targets 90 to 75%, R void assault, buff duration 10 seconds to 12 seconds. I just feel like it's whatever. None of these changes make Kha'Zix pickable or not pickable. It's whatever. It's just a shifting of power that doesn't do anything to adjust the champion's current problems or his issues in the jungle. Lee Sin, base AD decreased, base armor decreased. So the base attack damage 68 to 66, base armor 36 to 34. So Lee Sin is still buffed from his last patch, at least in terms of, you know, his combo that apparently made everyone start picking him. It's whatever. It's a complete placebo nerf. It doesn't actually do anything. It's going to be laughable if people stop playing him after what they've been doing because he got 12 damage in his combo upon first item completion before. And it just goes to show that people don't do math on these patch notes to justify like the popularity of a certain champion or why they begin picking them or stop picking them, actually. Olaf, passive attack speed reduced early, Q base damage decreased, passive, Berserker's Rage, attack speed 60 to 100%, based on level to 50 to 100%, Q undertow, physical damage 70 to 270, 100% bonus AD to 65 to 265, 100% bonus AD. Definitely fine. Olaf is still going to pulverize the matchups that he is counterpicking in top lane, but now any sort of blind pick Olafs are definitely going to get hurt. I would say this is actually more of a nerf to jungle Olaf than it is to top lane Olaf, but that's sort of it. Okay. Rammus, W armor scaling decreased, W defensive ball curl, 35 bonus armor to 40 to 100%, to 35 plus 40 to 80%. That is a very big nerf. That is a massive nerf to Rammus. This is insane. Rammus has been a high win rate champion for about half of all players over the last several patches, which is just too high for a champion to reasonably maintain. We can't let this roll anymore. That's very weird that they're saying that when other champions, I'm sure... I mean, I would have to look at like all the win rates. This just strikes me as extremely bizarre, but okay. It doesn't matter. Sejuani, passive damage cap against monsters decreased, cooldown increased, R cooldown increased. So passive, Fury of the North. Damage cap against epic monsters, 300 to 250. Q Arctic Assault, 18 to 12 to 19 to 13, doesn't matter. R Glacial Prison, cooldown 120 to 80 to 130 to 90. She's not casting R immediately off cooldown. This would be more of a nerf to top laner, like mid lane Sejuani or something, looking for lethals like immediately in laning phase, but 10 seconds does not do anything to jungle Sejuani because she's not immediately looking to do something with her R every single second that it's up. So again, this is a complete joke patch. This is a waste of a patch. In fact, they could have just not released a patch altogether. They could have just actually said that they were all sick and that they just skipped 13.7. And we all would have believed it at this point so far. Thresh, Q cooldown refunded on hit decreased. Q death sentence, 3 seconds to 2 seconds. Okay. So this just means that he'll need more ability haste to do Hook City. He already kind of does Hook City. You know, it's sort of whatever. Again, Thresh has been getting picked lately, even when he shouldn't. And so it feels bad. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It feels weird. I feel like, unironically, Thresh needs more assistance than he's getting, and now they're nerfing him. So it just bears really bad news for Thresh players. Veigar, QAP ratio now scales with level. WAP ratio now scales with level. E visual effects adjusted. RP ratio now scales with level. Okay, so this is the thing that I wanted to talk about with Veigar V2, because I don't understand the consensus on Twitter that these are nerfs. So this is something that I would love to talk about. Now, AP ratio is 60% in all ranks to 45 to 65. So you get back the old one at rank 4. Now, Q is his first max stability. Now, what I think is going on here is that you do not get the WAP ratio back until way later on in the game. Now, Veigar, this does affect his wave clear because you're missing out on that ability power, and so Veigar's used to put 2 points in W, I believe, and then that would do something for the wave clear. But no matter how you look at this, Veigar, especially with the Rod of Ages build and whatnot that he ends up going, or some of the other builds that he ends up going with, like Everfrost, but I think those are way less frequent, he is just getting a lot more damage in late game. Now, you could argue that he doesn't need that damage in late game, and that the stifling to his early and mid game is what's problematic, but I can't see it being problematic enough. I just don't see it. It's just outright a buff on his most spammable ability at level or rank or level 9. That's his most spammable ability. And so because he's getting 5% here, you're not actually losing the whole thing going on here, right? You are losing a percent of it. You're losing 25%, right? So I mean, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see it. Now, the AP ratio at all ranks, yes, this is painful. He just loses 10% AP ratio on, rank 1 and rank 2. He eventually gets it back at rank 3. I don't think it moves Veigar. I really don't. Veigar's main thing that is making him so obnoxious is, again, current itemization, and people don't even build him correctly, right? So for everyone that doesn't build him correctly, if you've been watching LCK or you've been watching like some of the players in LCS even, people don't build Veigar well at all, right? And they get memed for it on Twitter. But if you build him correctly and everything else, these should not impede Veigar from being picked for the reasons that he's being picked, which is mainly his event horizon and his ability to shut down so many team compositions. He's also getting away with murder in a lot of situations right now in pro play as it is. And I don't know. I just don't see him actually getting moved with these changes, so it's sort of whatever. But I'd love to talk to Veigar V2 about those things. Vi, Q base damage decreased, AD ratio increased, E base damage decreased, AD ratio increased, AP ratio increased. So Vault Breaker and Relentless Force, you end up needing to get more bonus AD now. That's the way that it is. So super late in the game, if you go full glass cannon on Vi, you'll end up having more damage, right? But the reality is Vi is an enigma to me. She is complete mystery in the sense that Morgana has not been changed, and Morgana just completely vacuum answers her. There's so many better junglers than Vi that exist, and for some reason, she just keeps endlessly getting picked, and it is one of the most confusing things. If you guys have been watching all my Draft Kingdom breakdowns on the LS Highlights channel or the LS Man channel, depending on which ones you guys are checking out. And it is just, I hope that pros overreact to this placebo nerf, because this does not change why they pick Vi. It doesn't. The damage is negligible. It does not change why they would be picking her. And so it's going to be hilarious if these changes prevent Vi from getting picked, but a similar thing that happened to Lee Sin, except the invert, the buff, is why they started picking Lee Sin. It would just, it's comical at that point. Wukong. Base attack damage decreased, W cooldown adjusted, E bonus attack speed decreased. Attack damage 68 to 66. W Warrior Trickster 22 to 12, 22 to 14. Nimbus Strike 40 to 60% to 35 to 55%. It's whatever. I would say that, again, much like Vi, this does not prevent you from picking Wukong. Riot actually has to go harder on the champion. This is extremely confusing. And again, this is what makes me not hold out hope for the MSI patch. Yasuo, passive shield stronger at later levels. Passive, Way of the Wanderer. So when I see this now, I think of the Eternal Wanderer from Magic the Gathering based. Play MTG, by the way. And if you do play MTG, just a reminder that, pre-release for March of the Machines is coming up on April 14th. Check out a local game shop near you and definitely go out and play at that pre-release. Definitely not sponsored. Okay, so shield amount, 100 to 475 to 100 to 575. So he just gets an extra 100 late game, and he can activate it twice, so he gets 200. Sweeping Blade, damage increase stacks, 25% of E's base damage, 15 to 25% of E's total damage. Scales linearly, levels 1 to 18. Maximum stack amount, 2 to 4. Okay. Zeri, health growth decreased. Passive, shield absorption decreased, R scaling decreased. So they're doing health growth. All right, so she's losing 15 per level. That's actually kind of big. We're talking about 2 auto attacks almost worth of HP in bot lane early on. That's a really big deal, especially for some of her counter matchups like Draven. That is quite a lot. Passive Living Battery. Shield absorption 60% of damage dealt to 45% of damage dealt. Okay, doesn't matter. Our Lightning Crash 175 to 375 plus 100% bonus AD, 10% AP. 175 to 375 plus 85% bonus AD. She's losing a little bit of damage. Again, it doesn't stop Zeri from getting picked. Okay. Zeri definitely functions outside of her R. Yes, she loses a little bit of damage because, again, it's bonus AD, right? So she's losing a little bit of damage on, whatever, man. This whole patch is such a circus. Death's Dance, attack damage 65 to 55, ability haste 0 to 15, armor 50 to 45. I think this is a buff. I think getting the 15 ability haste is actually better than having the 10 AD in most cases, because you think about the champions that want to get Death's Dance are typically going to end up being bruisers, and I think they value the ability haste a lot more than just the actual raw AD. Catalyst of Aeons, in its current state, is significantly cheaper than Lost Chapter. Yes, this is very big. So the health, you'll go up by 75. The combined cost goes up. Whatever, total cost goes up by 200. One of the things that goes on here is, so for people that don't know, a non-cannon wave is 102 gold. And a cannon wave is 162 gold. Now, maybe these numbers have altered since the change to the mid-wave minions, right? But nonetheless, as it stands right now, what this ends up meaning is that you get locked in lane for up to an entire extra minute. You get locked in lane for an entire extra minute. And that is a really big problem, because sometimes the Catalyst of Aeons champions were able to time their recalls against Lost Chapter champions and basically screw them in terms of recalls because of that 1 minute window where they would be able to afford Catalyst of Aeons and then just rely on base damages, versus the Lost Chapter users that would then have to commit to their teleport and not have the same amount of return, or be stuck in the lane and thus suffer disadvantages in other ways. So this is a very big change. There's no doubt about it. Grievous Wounds items. We felt it counterintuitive that these items not apply their unique effects to damage shield effects to damage shielded enemies, as this is inconsistent with the other damage like Leandry's. No, this will apply to Oblivion or Morello. Okay. Shields can't save you now. Items that apply Grievous Wounds on damage dealt to the target will now apply even if the damage you dealt was completely nullified by a shield. Grievous Wounds will still not apply to invulnerable targets or targets blocked by this. Okay, so this is really great, but still I have to make a video on how Chemtech Putrefier and Grievous Wounds actually works for many champions, because pro players all around the world are incorrectly building Grievous Wounds, and that just feels really bad. And I think Grievous Wounds continues to be one of the most disgustingly misunderstood items in all of League of Legends, because people value a lot more than they ever should the amount of healing cut and its value against what it does against certain team comps. ARAM adjustments doesn't matter. Clash Mount Targon Cup, that sounds really cool. We will make sure to have 13.7 solo queue and Clash tier list up on Patreon. Although, guys, I'm going to be totally honest with you, I don't think there's any changes. And so, because there's no changes, I'm probably just going to end up doing a recording video for Patreon where I go over the tier list and like talk about things, or I'm going to post like a Q&A type thingy on Patreon. So realistically, if you got the 13.6 solo queue tier list or you got the 13.6 Clash tier list, they're both still completely effective. This patch is a complete joke. There's nothing on those lists that move. There's absolutely zero that will change by this patch. So I'm just letting you know in advance. So, you know, don't repurchase or resubscribe or whatever if that's what you're looking at, because it's just the 13.6. I'm going to end up doing something different instead, as like a reward in exchange for this patch, for everyone that supports on Patreon. So showcase milestones, auto-claim, 32-bit client, depreciation. This is really cool. How about we keep doing this? Support for 32-bit window OS will be deprecated? Depreciate? I actually don't know how to say that word. I'll be totally honest with you. On April 4th, 2023, after this date, 64-bit window were required to play League of Legends and team type tactics. I hope that they keep doing this so that we can maybe get another graphics update to League of Legends, or so that something is going on with the client, so that we can get like league map skins and like all this other cool stuff. Competitive and rank solo and rank flex normal surrender. 4 out of 5 or 70% of team members must agree to pass the vote. Is available at 20 to 15 minutes. Nice. Now you can win a 15-minute with 4-1. That is actually super big. Okay. We're running an experiment on normal draft, especially to test some of our functionality around matchmaking for the upcoming quick play queue type for these regions during the testing window. Autofill is removed. All players in a party must choose the unit. Okay. And that is pretty much it. So now let's go to the most important part of the patch, which is the only meaningful part, because obviously those changes all sucked. The skins. All right, so the splash art here is kind of cool, but also kind of weird. That looks like Veigar on top or something. I don't know. It looks like he's riding like Kled or like Corky's Corgi thing. Okay. We didn't have to remember that Yumi's back, man. That looks like Yumi's boyfriend, dude. Yumi's got a boyfriend or something, man. Oh my lord, what's going on here? Okay, so the name of the skin is Shiba Yumi. Not Shibar, you know? Like the Korean Shiba, you know? Like not the Korean curse word. Shiba as in like the Japanese dog, the Shiba Inu. Okay? So that's what they're going on for here. So I mean, it's an okay skin. Don't think I'm going to use it other Yumi skins, I'll be honest with you. Although this one kind of looks like a Care Bear, so I like that one. This one's the best. Bottom right one, that one's the best, true. Okay, we move on, and what is the... Oh, it's not Veigar. I'm never going to be able to look at Veigar the same. Apparently, this is Wolf and Lamb, man. What is going on? It looks like Veigar literally grew legs, and... where are we going with this? What is... I am thinking things that is not what is happening. Veigar has been using his magic for something like what is going on? All right, we're gonna just okay. What? What are these legs? This is like anorexia. What? This is gross to look at. Oh, this is not attractive. This is unhealthy. Nidalee has a fucking eating disorder. What the hell is this? These look like, dude, these look like Phyrexian modified hips. Like it's like our torso is not even real. This looks like that woman that had her body like surgically altered to have like the Barbie waist. You guys might know what I'm talking about. She had like her hips shaved and this is gross to look at. This is really gross to look at. This is disgusting. This is really gross. Oh my lord. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's no way. I don't even want to know what the cat form actually looks like. This is maybe the cat form's gonna show its ribs. Like what? This is a total miss by Riot. This skin, like I don't even. How did this pass PBE? How is there not a Reddit thread about this skin? We can't actually think that these body proportions are real. What is that in the shadow? All right, guys. I'll see you all in 13.8. Yeah. See you guys all in 13.8. Yes, sir.